Today, our verse is Mark chapter 1, verse 1, the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. The beginning of the gospel of Mark gives us a lot of food for thought. The word arche in Greek, translated as beginning, may be considered simply as the starting point, the inception or starting point of the ministry of Jesus. Although some interpreters may consider this verse as a title to the gospel because arche lacks a definite article, the verses that immediately follow show that the author wants to highlight the beginning of the ministry of Jesus. Hence, he describes the ministry of John the Baptist and the baptism of Jesus, followed by the temptation in this first chapter. The word evangelion means good news or gospel. It originally meant the reward for good news and good news. It meant the act of proclamation, that is, preaching of the gospel. If you read 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 15. It also referred to the work of evangelization, that is, the spreading of the gospel. However, it developed as a Christian technical term to mean the content of the Christian faith, the good tidings or good news of God's redemptive act in Jesus Christ. If you read 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 14. Therefore, the gospel or good news here means the glad tidings of salvation brought by Jesus Christ. Mark tells us that the good news is of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. These are very carefully chosen words. Jesus was the name given to him at his birth by the angel. He will be called Jesus. Matthew chapter 1, verse 21 and verse 25. The name Jesus was common. It was the Greek form of the Hebrew name Joshua or Yeshua, which means God is salvation or God saves. It is the same name as the successor of Moses, Joshua, if you read Acts chapter 7, verse 45. The name appears in other places, even in the New Testament, if you read Colossians chapter 4, verse 11, and Luke chapter 3, verse 29. But what is unique about the name for the Son of God is that the name reflects exactly what his mission was in the world. God saves. He is the God who comes into our human history to save us. Christ comes from the Greek word Christos, which translates the Hebrew Mashiach, which means anointed one. This is a title, not a name, but often it functions as part of Jesus' name. Still, it functions as a title in the gospel. If you read Mark chapter 8, verse 29, 12:35, and 14:61. The Jewish people expected the Messiah, the anointed one, prophesied in the prophets. Jesus fulfills that prophecy. He is the Christ, the Messiah. He is not only the God who saves or the anointed one, he is also the Son of God, as Mark tells us. Although some scholars argue that the Son of God is not found in some early manuscripts in this verse and could have been a later addition, that title for Jesus is superfluous in the Gospels. You find him addressed as the Son of God. What does this beginning of the Gospel of Mark challenge us to do today as Christians? First, we are invited to key into the ministry of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Second, we have the task of proclaiming the good news, the Evangelion Jesu Christo, the Son of God, the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That is our mission as Christians, to preach the good news. But how do we preach that good news? Mark did it through his writing. We can do it today in different ways, through social media, through writing, through word of mouth, but most importantly, through our way of life, following and living out the life of Jesus Christ. And that is what is contained in the Gospel of Mark, the way Jesus lived his life. And that is what Mark wants to encourage us to do, to follow, to live the way of Jesus Christ. Lord, may we preach and live out the good news of your Son, Jesus Christ, through our words and actions. Amen. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of the day.